Hello and welcome back to the Grow and Grief podcast. This is Stephanie Fetterman and I have my son Stephen Wilkinson here with me today.
Hello.
So when I first started the podcast, I was talking to Stephen about it and he had asked me if we were just going to touch on grief in terms of losing, a family member, a friend, or like a person. And I explained to him that I wanted to touch on all different types of grief. So he brought to my attention sports grief and just the emotional toll it takes on him when he watches sports or even plays video games when his team loses or he loses in a video game. And I actually did some research and found that this is an actual legitimate thing. Like, people really struggle with losing video games or even watching their sports team lose. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what goes on in you mentally, emotionally, when you're watching a Jaguars game?
It pretty much depends on who are playing. I guess, there's multiple factors, but it's primarily who we're playing. Because if we're playing teams that, we should beat on paper, like the Commanders or, at the time, the Giants, and we lose to them in very close games that we should have won, it is toying with my emotions, because I have expectations. We're in the lead, we should win this. All we have to do is close, and then we don't, and so it messes with it's an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. What feelings do you feel? Do you feel angry? Do you feel sad? What do you feel?
I feel like it depends on how we lose. Most of them are anger, but if it's we just beat the Baltimore Ravens, but it came down to a last second, potentially record-breaking field goal by the Ravens, and had that made it, that would have been more sadness than anger, because that was just there was nothing we could have done there. It was just the kicker did good.
Yeah.
It's not like we could have prevented that or stopped that. It was just
it is what it is type thing.
But when we have the capabilities to win and we don't, then it becomes anger.
Yeah. So I hear you saying we. Let's talk about your emotional investment in the team. Because when you talk about the Jaguars, you say we a lot. You say, as if you're somebody that's actually playing on the team. So talk about your emotional investment with the Jaguars.
I'm pretty sure it was October 7th, 2007, which is 15 years ago. That was the day I decided I'd be a Jaguars fan. I was 4. I was about to turn 5. And I want to punch my 4-year-old self in the face for that decision.
No. Why? What was it that made you become a Jaguars fan?
I'm a horrible person. That's what made me a Jaguars fan. Every Sunday my dad would have me. He would take me to John's Incredible Pizza, and we would watch the Chiefs play, which are his favorite team. And unless it was a select few teams, I would just always go for the other team, because I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh, he wants the Chiefs to win, so it'd be funny if I want the other team to win. I'd do that every week, and then the Jaguars won once, and they just stuck with me. I was like, they're the team.
You're that's my team, right?
That's my team right there. And it has been a long 15 years.
But on the bright side, you did get to go to Jaguar Stadium, so that was fun.
I did.
You enjoyed that.
Yeah, I've gone to 3 games, I think, and I haven't seen them win a single time. Once in Qualcomm Stadium, which is now rubble. Once in Arrowhead Stadium, which my dad has a picture of me where I'm less than pleased. sitting next to him while he's having a big old grin. And the game we went to in Indy.
Yep. That was a lot of fun.
They lost. Yeah, well, they were all fun, but like...
You want to see them win.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, what goes through your head, let's just say, in a given game. I think I maybe already asked that.
I don't think so. I think you asked if I, like, how...
How you feel.
Yeah. So, like, what goes through my head in a given game is, like, well, so the most common outcome, we lead the league, well, or like a couple weeks ago, I know, we led the league in point differential in the first and third quarter. We were, like, plus 11 points or something. But we were, like, one of the worst in the second and fourth quarter. So, like, we have the physical capabilities to score. We can score, but we just, like, our offense can score and our defense can show up, but, like, it just seems they can't close. And, like, I'm pretty sure even though we are 4-7, I'm pretty sure we have a positive point differential on the season. I'm pretty sure we're, like, plus, like, 7 or something. We've scored 7 more points than all our other opponents. But it's just, like, we lose those close games.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure against the Raiders a couple weeks ago, that was our first win when the final score was within 7 or less.
So let's touch on your like, I guess, like, your emotional investment with not so much how much you enjoy the team or how long you've been a fan of the team, but like your connection. Because like I said, you say we a lot as if you play on the team and you have any sort of control over what happens with regards to the team. Talk to me about how it feels to be absent of control.
I think it's like, in terms of the saying we, I think it's like, because I've been a fan for so long, it's like part of my, like, identity. Like, that's like people, when I went to West Valley, like, people, like, one of the main things people knew about me was that I was a Jaguars fan. And, like, they, like, after the 2017 AFC Championship when we lost to the Patriots, like, people came up to me and were like, "You good?" But, like, not that I try to make it, like, my personality. Like, I want to have more personality than sports fan. But, like, that's me. Like, I've been a Jaguars fan so long, so, like...
Without that, who are you? Type thing.
I don't necessarily think that, but it's like I can't go back or, like, pick a different team. It's just like I've selected this team. This is my team. Like Nathan, he's a Seahawks fan. He was originally a Lions fan because of the colors, but, like, because he didn't have any real investment, he was like, okay, I'm fine with picking the Seahawks. Because, and even then, he doesn't really have much of an investment in the Seahawks. Like, he'll be like, if I'm like, oh, the Seahawks won, he'll be like, cool. And if I'm like, oh, they lost, he's like, all right, whatever. So I, like, the difference between me and him are, like, interesting, I guess. Because, like, we're both very competitive. We're both
very competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
And, like, we both get, I don't want to say, like, mad very easy, but, like, when it's something we have control over, like sports, like, he plays baseball, and, like, he gets, like, I don't know what the appropriate word to say is, but like when the ump makes a bad call, he'll like get way more angry,
way
too
angry
than he needs to be. But like,
but I think that's also the absence of control, because he has no control over what
and I think
an ump calls.
But I think that going a bit on the video games here. I don't want to stick on the video games too long because I know this is more about the sports. I think what's even worse than the complete absence of control, like as a sports fan, is having control, but like having a third party able to affect that control, like alter that control. So like he can obviously like hit a home run or whatever, but if he gets thrown a ball that should lead to a walk, like if it's full count, a ball gets thrown, but the umpire calls it a strike, the umpire just took away his control.
Right.
So I feel like that is kind of worse, to have your control taken from you in a scenario where you should have control than just not having control at all.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching something that you have no control over, it feels more like a fixed outcome. But if you have control and someone takes that control from you, like it feels like an outcome that can be changed, but
because of that factor,
it feels like a fixed outcome, but you're so desperate to change it because you know you have control that I feel like it's worse than just straight not having control.
Yeah. So like really being robbed of the control that you should have in a situation or a scenario. Like if you're playing against a person in a video game, and then something else comes in. Because I mean, and I also think that in that type of situation, mentally, you've kind of prepared for, okay, this is likely going to be the outcome, and then you're heading on one track, and then it's like something kind of derails you from that you did not mentally prepare for. And I kind of want to touch on that just a little bit, because with you in particular, I know that you like to know what's going on. And I see that Abby is a lot like that too, where she wants to know what's going on. She wants to know, okay, like to mentally prepare for things. And as long as I can mentally prepare her for something, like if we're going to go to Costco and she's not going to get a toy, if I mentally prepare her for that, she's fine and she doesn't have a tantrum. But if I just take her into Costco and I don't say anything about not getting a toy, and then she sees a toy and wants a toy and I say no, it's just like she has a complete meltdown in the middle of Costco. Like this literally happened. Middle of Costco, tantrums on the floor, and I'm like, you're definitely not getting anything, like with this kind of attitude. And I mean, it was just like full-blown screaming, and I'm like trying to get her to calm down, and not give her what she wants, because I'm not going to give her what she wants in this moment. But I noticed, like, when I tell her, okay, we're going to go into this store, you're not going to get anything, so don't ask, because the answer is going to be no, then she's able to mentally prepare, and she's able to process it in her head first, and she knows. She's like, well, we'll walk by the toys, and she's like, we're not getting a toy, and I'm like, you're right, we're not getting a toy, and she's okay. She can handle it. But just that not being able to mentally prepare for something, I feel like she really struggles with. And I know that you struggle with that too, because if I tell you, like, hey, we're going to go to church at 9 a.m., be ready, you're fine. But if I don't give you a kind of a heads up of what time we're leaving, and I'm like, hey, we're leaving in 30 minutes, and you're just like, I don't know. And you're like, you seem to be more upset in those situations than when I tell you the night before and you're able to actually prepare.
I think, I was going to say while you were talking, not while you were talking, but like while you were talking, I was thinking, I think it's a bit different for me, maybe because she's just a toddler.
She's 4.
Right now. I think it's different because she needs to be prepared of a fixed outcome, while I will mentally prepare for like any outcome. Like I'll be like, all right, we could, like, let's say we're going to a store and I want a video game or whatever, not that we typically do, but like I'll prepare for yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
But like thinking like about it, I don't think I do. I think I only really prepare for the yes, and I just suppress the reaction of no. And I think I'm telling myself I was prepared for it, but I don't think I truly was, because I'm just like suppressing it. And I feel like that's what I do a lot of the time, unless like if I'm in a public place, you're
not going to be on the floor throwing a tantrum in the middle of
I'm a very
Costco.
introverted person, so I want like as minimal like live eyes on me. Like I'm fine with this. I'm fine with being like recorded and posted for however many people to see. But like if it's live, I don't know why, but that's just like if I can actively see the eyes looking at me, I don't know what it is, but like it freaks me out. Like so like I would never make a scene, even if I'd want to like, and I'm pretty sure I did back when I was little, but even if I like really wanted whatever toy or video game, I would be like, all right, she said no.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think that you ever did. Like, I can recall Nathan throwing tantrums, like, at the dentist. I very vividly remember him throwing a tantrum at the dentist.
Well, that's
but
the dentist. No, that's the dentist.
He wanted his pacifier. And I think you were getting your teeth cleaned. Like, it wasn't even for him. It was for you. And we were just there waiting for you to be done. And I vividly remember him throwing himself onto the floor and just having a full-blown tantrum. I don't recall you ever throwing a tantrum. And, like, you ever really making a scene. Now that you're talking about that and I'm, like, thinking back, I don't recall you ever really making a scene about anything.
Maybe that was just, like, that's just how I am. Cause, like, I've always wanted to, do the talent show or whatever at school. But, like, the thought of people seeing me and, like, me getting embarrassed in any capacity, even if I'm not going to get embarrassed, even if I'm, like, good at, like, whatever, it's just
the potential of embarrassment.
The preparation for possibility of embarrassment just freaks me out.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm fine with this, because
you're like, because I can edit it out.
I can edit out the most embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
But, like, I just freak out at the thought of getting embarrassed. That's why I sit way in the back at church, because, like, even though I know no one's eyes is going to be on me, like, just the thought that
as I'm, like, in the front row.
Yeah, you're sitting out in the front row. I'm as far back as possible. But, like, yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is, but, like, being way back there where, like, maybe 2 people can, like, see me is, like, I guess comforting. Because, like, even though I know our pastor's not going to call me out on, like, anything, like, I have a very overactive imagnation, so I, like, will come up with the most ridiculous of scenarios, and I'll be like, this is what's happening. Don't do anything. So I'll, like, imagine, like, there was one instance where there was potential that Pastor Jeremiah I don't think he was necessarily calling me out, but, like, he was mentioning how, like, the church is relaxed if you don't show up in a suit and tie.
Oh.
And that was when I had my look like a homeless person phase, and I wore literally, like, I had hoodies on, I had I think a Chiefs jersey over it all. I wore, like, 2 layers of sweats and slides. I was not dressed.
And it was one of those things where, like, I would rather have you in church looking like a homeless person than not have you in church. So I was just like, okay, this is what he's going to wear. He now wears jeans and tennis shoes and a shirt.
Well, I'll wear the Jaguars jersey if it's the Jaguars are playing, but like other than that, I dress.
I'm so glad you're out of that homeless looking phase. And at that point, you had the long hair too to go with it. So it was just like, oh my gosh. But again, it was one of those things like I would much rather just have you in church than not. So if you're gonna come to church looking homeless, you're coming to church looking homeless. Meanwhile, the rest of us are all dressed normally. I mean, not even.
I feel like you guys are. Well, I guess it is church, but like compared to like how the average person would dress, you guys dress better.
I'm in t-shirt and jeans practically every Sunday, but I'm also in the cafe, so. Yeah,
but before then, you'd wear like at least like semi-formal stuff.
Not even semi.
I don't know what the levels are of formality. I don't know what's above.
I would say that I'm like dressy casual.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
But yeah, I do remember that Sunday.
Yeah. Like when you said that, I was like, what? I was like, cool. I was like, yeah. I was like, evidently, I look like a bum. And then I was like, wait a minute. Is he talking about me?
Oh my gosh, I remember that Sunday. That was funny. That was really good. I think I probably even turned around to look for you.
No, I think that was back when I sat with you guys. But like, I think Lucas brought it up after church. I'm pretty sure he did. I think he mentioned it. It was a while ago, so I don't.
Yeah, good times.
But to be in my defense of how I was dressed, it was during the polar vortex or whatever.
No, it was after that. That was like
the
span of like a couple days.
After.
Yeah, I think
like,
it was.
I
think it was 2020. So I think it was like shortly after we came back from lockdown.
No.
It was before that?
It was way before that. It was before 2020. It was either the year of the polar vortex or the year after.
The year after would have been 2020 because polar vortex happened in 2019.
I thought it was.
It was like January, February 19.
I thought it was the first winter we were here.
Yeah, but it was in January. The end of January, early February.
Well, the winter after. But
anyway, totally off topic of sports grief.
Cold. It was super cold, and I was dressed up warm. I had like 4 layers of hoodies, 3 layers of sweats. I was cozy.
Cozy in church. Okay, back to the sport.
Yeah, I have no idea how we got there.
I don't either. Oh, because you said you don't like to have a whole lot of attention.
I don't like the potentialness of embarrassment.
Yeah. Don't know if that's a word.
How did we even get there? You were talking about...
I don't know.
No, you're talking about preparing for outcomes.
Yes. And watching games or playing video games. And yeah. Okay. So back on track. But this is all good. So absence of control. How does that make you feel?
I don't like I don't hate it, I guess. Like, I'm fine with not being in control of a situation, but I like you said with Abby, I like being filled in of, like, if I'm not having control, but someone's telling me, like, this is what's happening, this is how everything is gonna go down, I'm fine with that. But, like, in sports, every play is different. There's the defense will line up different, offense will come out in a different formation, so there's no real predictability in it, and there's very few situations where you can actually predict what's going to happen, like, as a human. Like, you can, like, if a kicker, like just the average kicker is lining up to kick like a 30-yard field goal, you could be like, all right, he's going to make this. That's pretty safe to assume. It's probably got like a 97% chance of making it. And then if you move it back to like the 55 mark, you could be like, okay, he's most likely going to miss this. That I'm fine with. If it's a deep kick and I'm like, all right, he's likely going to miss, I've predicted for the outcome of miss, and I'll be pleasantly surprised if he makes it. And then with the opposite scenario where you're like, okay, he's in a scenario where he can easily make this, and then he doesn't, then it's taken away the little predictability of it out, and it's just curveball that like kind of messes me up. So like it's not about, I think, about the control. I think it's more about for me at least, for some people, I think for a majority of people it might be the absence of control, but for me personally, I think it's the absence of predictability. I'm pretty sure predictability is a word.
I think so. So let's go ahead and start wrapping up. But I wanted to give 3 tips to help with navigating it. First is just acknowledging your emotions. Like, I think, like you mentioned, you tend to suppress your feelings, your disappointments. I think that it's good to acknowledge, like, hey, I'm disappointed. This made me upset. Because I think there's so much value in talking things out and just working through your feelings. Because oftentimes when we suppress so much, then it's just this weight within us that kind of like holds us down. But if we're able to talk about it in, like, even this, like dialoguing about, what's going on in your head and just the things that you're thinking and feeling, like you're actually able to be kind of freed from it. And so the weight of all of this stuff that you've suppressed can really start to be alleviated, and you may not feel the weight of it so much. And I think that that's so important. And, whether you can always talk to me, that, or talk to somebody else that you feel comfortable with, or even getting a counselor. Like, I think that therapy is such a great thing. But it's one of those things where you have to be ready to do the process of healing and talking it out. Otherwise, if you're just like sitting there twiddling your thumbs with a therapist, it's pointless. So having that.
I think that like the issue with like talking with you or like someone else or like even a therapist is like, I think you don't watch sports like at all. So like, you wouldn't understand. Like, I feel like you wouldn't understand, and I feel like it'd just be going for you, like, just in one ear and out the other. So, like, I'd want to talk to somebody who'd understand, but like I said, I'm an introvert, and, like, I'd rather not talk to people. So, like, it's rough to find a middle ground.
Yeah. But even if I don't understand necessarily the sports aspect of it, I do love and care for you. And I do want you to feel better and freed from the weight of all of this. And at the end of the day, it's not so much the sports, it's the way that it makes you feel, and that's something that we could easily talk through and work through. The second thing I want to say, don't stuff your feelings, because it's really not healthy. It just, again, weighs you down. It stresses your body out unnecessarily. And then just finding different things to help you release that frustration or that anger that are healthy. No throwing your bed, no breaking remotes, breaking your phone, stuff like this. Punching your pillow, that's fine. But maybe just going for a walk or, finding healthy ways to release that, that aggression or the frustration. Because the biggest thing is you want to do things in a healthy manner that not only help you, but don't hurt you and don't hurt those around you.
Yeah. I feel like I do a good job of that. Maybe not in the hurting myself aspect, but like I wouldn't like just. I feel like I wouldn't just attack Nathan. Like he'll annoy me, and like I'll typically take it out on like some inanimate object near me.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I do like punch my leg, or like if I'm playing video games, I'll hit myself with the controller. But like other than that, I feel like I do a good job on taking it out on non-living things.
That's good.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Abby's next to me. I can go up the stairs.
No, you won't. Stop. Thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else that you want to add before we close?
No, I think that is it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, because honestly, it created a dialogue for us to kind of talk about this and work through this for you. So, and who knows how many other people might be helped because of you brought this to my attention. So thank you so much. Remember, goodbyes are not guaranteed. I hope that this podcast watered your life so you can grow in grief today. If you have something that you would like to bring to my attention for us to talk about on this podcast, please email me at growingrief@gmail.com. Thank you.